So good morning to all of you. So today we are going to discuss some this new chapter that is called flow through pipes. Okay. So today we are going to discuss this new chapter is called flow through pipes. And in previous lecture we already have discussed some of the GATT numericals. And today we are going to see this new chapter as well as we will solve some GATT previous year. From now today onwards, I will choose each chapter of the fluid mechanics and I will solve each GATT previous year question. So today we are going to discuss the flow through pipes as well as along with this one we are going to discuss the GATT previous year question which already have asked in this first chapter, properties of fluid. So now we should discuss first the introduction part of the flow through pipes. So flow through pipes means the water or the liquid which is flowing inside the pipe, and most of the flow are turbulent in nature, and the cross sectional area of the pipe are generally it is assumed to be just so the cross sectional area of the pipe is assumed to be assumed to be circular in nature, circular in cross section. Okay, circular in cross section. So I already told you most of the pipe flow are turbulent in nature. So in order to decide, so in order to decide the nature of the flow, the nature of the flow means whether it is a laminar flow, whether it is a turbulent flow, whether it is in a transition zone. So a non-dimensional number we have to define. That non-dimensional number is called as Reynolds number. That one is called as Reynolds. That is called Reynolds number. Okay, and so on. Okay. So next we are going to understand. So when this Reynolds number is less than this 2000, I am talking about here for pipe flow. I am talking about for pipe flow. Okay, for pipe flow, when this Reynolds number is less than 2000, that is called laminar flow. That flow is called as laminar flow. And when this Reynolds number within this 2000 to this one is 4000, that one is called as transition flow. This is called transition flow. And when this Reynolds number is greater than this 4000, that is called as turbulent flow. That one is called as turbulent flow. Okay. So in most of the pipe flow are turbulent in nature. Most of the pipe flow are turbulent in nature. Now today we are going to discuss the pipe flow. So pipe flow means suppose there is a reservoir. So there is a reservoir in which it is connected to one pipe. And this is the reservoir one. Okay, which available head at the upstream one is called capital H. Capital H. So suppose this one is called length of the pipe. So this is called length of the pipe. So that is flowing with a velocity v. So when the water is flowing from this one to this one, there is some losses are occurring inside this pipe. So what are the losses? There are two type losses. One is called major loss, second one is called minor loss. Okay, the major loss is due to the frictional resistance by this surface of the pipe material, which offer a resistance to flow. Because of there is some head will be lost. So now what is the head? So actually now the head, this is the available head. So available head is for this, or this potential energy is converted into the kinetic energy. So this available head is H. This is the I am writing in the form of head. Okay, So this is nothing but a potential energy. So this is the available head H. Now what will happen? There is some losses are occurring. So when this water is flowing inside the pipe, now that losses. So the loss due to friction. So the loss due to friction. Suppose that there is some head losses are there. So this is the loss. Okay, this is the loss. So what is the net head available? So the net head which is available, so for this flowing of movement of the water, for this discharge or for the velocity, that is that available head minus this head loss. This is the head available. So this is I am talking. Now we are talking about what are the type of losses. What are the type of the losses? So now there is the losses are two type. In pipe flow there is two type of losses. First one is called the major loss. This one is called major loss, and second one is called, this one is minor loss. This is a minor losses, and this major loss in the pipe is due to the frictional resistance which is provided by the pipe material or pipe surface to the water, and 80 to 90% of the are actually the losses are due to this friction only. So this one is called as major loss. So this is due to friction. This is due to friction. But minor loss are actually due to when there is sudden change in the shape, when there is sudden change in cross-sectional or cross-section of the pipe material. What will happen is a sudden drop in velocity, sudden increase in velocity. Okay, so due to what there is a pressure difference will be created, and because of that some eddies are generated in that part. Okay, and due to this eddies, what will happen, there is some losses are occurring in this pipe flow. So this minor losses are due to formation of eddies. This is the eddies, means suppose this is the pipe. Okay, suppose now suppose suddenly it will expand, sudden there is an sudden it will be enlarged. Okay, sudden it will enlarge at this cross section. What will happen, this streamline which is coming, what will happen, this will going like this. Okay, and this the streamline will be like this. So in this one, what will happen, there is eddies will be formed. In this zone, what will happen, eddies will be formed, and these eddies are responsible for the losses. Okay, the head loss of the pipe. So these are called as minor losses. So 80 to 90% are losses are because of the major loss, and here only 10 to 20% are lost due to this minor loss. Now we will talk about what are the major loss. So this major loss, actually you can calculate this loss major loss in pipe. We can calculate by using two formula. So first one is called as, this is Darcy-Weisbach equation, for you can find out the what is the loss of head due to the friction. And second formula we can use to calculate the major loss as called Chegy formula. This is called Chezy's formula. Okay, and these formula are both applicable to laminar and turbulent flow. Okay, this Darcy-Weisbach and Chezy formula are both applicable to both laminar and turbulent flow. Now minor losses, if you talk about this minor losses, if you talk about the minor losses, okay, so minor losses are, I already told you, due this major losses is due to friction. This is due to friction provided by the pipe surface, and the minor losses are, this is due to formation of eddies. Okay, this formation of eddies means turbulence. Okay, turbulence which are created in that zone because because of that what will happen, there is loss of head. Okay, so the minor losses are due to, so there is actually 5 category are there. So first of the loss, so the loss due to sudden enlargement, sudden enlargement. When there is sudden enlargement of the pipe, what will happen, there is some eddies will be generated. So this is loss due to sudden enlargement. Okay, second one is, this is loss due to sudden contraction. So loss due to sudden contraction of the pipe. When there is sudden contract, when there is sudden drop down, means suppose this one sudden drop down of the cross section, there is also some, here will some formation of the eddies will be formed, here is some eddies will be formed. Okay, so third is losses due to, third is loss due to, so third is the loss due to pipe bend. Okay, when there is a bend, when there is a bend in pipe, so there is a bend in pipe at this zone, so what will happen, there is some loss due to the bend. Okay, so all we will discuss one after one. So next is called as loss due to the pipe fitting material. This is pipe fitting material, loss due to pipe fitting. The last one is the loss due to, that is loss due to obstacle. This is loss due to obstacles. When there is an obstacle to the flow, there is some losses are also included, and these minor losses are majorly they are ignored. Whenever you will do some numerical, the minor losses are ignored, but the major losses are always taken into account during the calculation. Now today we are going to discuss about this Darcy-Weisbach equation. Today we are going to discuss how we can find out the head loss due to friction by using Darcy-Weisbach equation. So Darcy-Weisbach equation today we are going to discuss. This is Darcy-Weisbach equation. Darcy-Weisbach equation. So suppose I am considering a pipe. Suppose I am considering a pipe. This is the pipe in which the flow is occurring. And there is this is the direction of the flow, and I am considering two sections. This is section 1 and this is section 2. So this is section 1 and this is section 1 and this is section 2 and this is section 2, and this is my datum line. Suppose this is my datum line. This is my datum line, and this is suppose point 1, and suppose this is the point 2. So this is suppose point 1 and this is my point 2, and the elevation head of this point 1 is suppose this one is Z1, and the elevation head of this point 2 is suppose this one is my Z2. Okay, now at this cross section, suppose the length between this cross section is, this one is L, this is cross section is L. Now pressure acting at this cross section, pressure always acts toward the cross section and it is perpendicular to the cross section. So this suppose this is the pressure, suppose this is P1. Similarly the pressure acting at this cross section is, suppose this one the pressure, suppose this is P2, suppose P2. And velocity at point 1 is V1 and velocity at point 2 is V2. So whenever you are deriving this Darcy-Weisbach equation, we have to take some assumption into account. So we have to take some assumption. So what are the assumptions you have to take in account? These are the assumptions you have to remember. These are all one objective question in GATE or IS. So assumption taken in this Darcy-Weisbach equation. So the assumption is saying that the frictional resistance means when the water is flowing, whatever the water is flowing, and this when the water is flowing, the frictional resistance. Okay, so when the water is flowing, the frictional resistance. So this is I am writing. Now suppose this is my frictional resistance. This is not working. suppose again I am considering this pipe. Okay, okay, sorry. Yes. Suppose now I am deriving this Darcy-Weisbach equation. This is Darcy-Weisbach equation. So in this Darcy-Weisbach equation, suppose I am considering one pipe. Suppose now I am considering one pipe. So this is my pipe. Okay, this is my pipe. And suppose in this pipe the water is flowing in this direction. This is the flowing direction of the water. And suppose I am considering 2 points. This is point 1 and this is point 2. Okay, and this point 1 I am drawing one section. This is section 1 and this is section 2. So in between this section 1 and 2 the length is L. Okay, and suppose this is my datum line. This is my datum line, and this one is the elevation head of this one is from this one. Suppose this is Z1, and similar the elevation head of Z 2.2 which this one is Z2. Now this cross sectional area. So at this section 1 the pressure acting perpendicular to this one, this is P1. Similar the pressure acting on this cross section is P2. Pressure always act toward the cross section and it is act perpendicular to the cross section. Okay, now the density of the water which is flowing inside this pipe, the density of the water which is flowing inside this water is flowing inside this one. So suppose this water is flowing, okay, the density is rho. Now there is some assumption we have to take. So what are the assumption we have to take? These are the assumption we have to take during the derivation of the Darcy-Weisbach equation. So the frictional resistance, this frictional resistance, the frictional resistance varies or is proportional to the frictional varies. First one, it varies as V to the power n. Okay, and means the frictional resistance is directly proportional to V to the power n, and this n value lies between, this is 1.5 to 2. Okay, now for our calculation we always take these two. For our calculation always take 2. Now second assumption we have take, now this frictional resistance is proportional to, this frictional resistance is proportional to, okay, so proportional to density of the fluid. So proportional to density of fluid. The density of fluid is rho. Third assumption we have taken, that the frictional resistance proportional to area of surface in contact. So this frictional resistance is proportional to area of surface in contact. Okay, means when the water is flowing, when it is contact with the surface area of this pipe, so it is directly proportional to the surface area of the pipe. That is directly, as you can say. Now fourth is, it is independent of pressure. So this is fourth assumption we have taken, it is independent of pressure. It is independent of pressure. And last assumption we have taken, this is one con. Now this frictional resistance actually it is independent of pressure, but it depends on the nature of surface in contact. The nature of surface in contact. What is the nature of the surface? Whether it is a very rough surface, smooth surface, whether it is a mild surface, so it is depend upon the that one. And during this derivation we have to take one assumption, means the fluid must be incompressible. The fluid must be incompressible, means density will remain constant, density will not change. This is the assumption we have to take during the derivation part. Now we have to derive this Darcy-Weisbach equation. So now So this is the cross section area of the pipe. So again I am drawing. This is the cross section area of the pipe. Okay, so now this is the point 1 and this is point 2 and this is my datum line we have chosen. Okay, this datum line, and this one is Z1 at this point 1, the elevation head, and the elevation at point 2 is Z2. And if you choose then one section at this point 1 and point 2, the pressure acting at this one is P1 and the pressure acting at this one is P2, and the length between this section is L. Okay, now here the cross sectional area is uniform, means it is a prismatic, it is not changing. So here cross sectional area, this cross sectional area is constant, means it is not changing, it is uniform cross section. So I can write down here area at 1 will be equal to area at point number 2, cross section is not. So if you use the continuity equation, so if you use the continuity equation, suppose the rate of flow is Q is flowing, so this Q will be equal to A1 B1 will be equal to this one is A2 B2. Now we already know this A1 is equal to A2 because the cross section is not changing. So we can get V1 will be equal to V2. Velocity at point number 1 and point number 2 are same. Okay. Now you see, as this is in horizontal direction, this pipe, now this elevation head also are same. Z1 also will be equal to this Z2. Now to derive this Darcy-Weisbach equation, we have to use the Bernoulli equation. Now we are using Bernoulli equation. Bernoulli's equation. So what is Bernoulli equation? At section we are applying at section 1 and at section 2 we are applying Bernoulli equation. So this is P1 by rho g plus this is Z1 plus this is V1 square by 2g will be equal to this is P2 by rho g plus this is Z2 plus this is V2 square by 2g and plus some head loss, because we are up now actually talking about the real fluid, so we have to take into account the loss of head. Okay, now the loss of head is occurring due to the friction. Okay, now loss of head is occurring due to the friction. So now I am writing this one. So now we already apply this Bernoulli equation. This is P1 by rho g plus this one is Z1 plus this is V1 square by 2g. Okay, will be equal to this is P2 by rho g plus this one is Z2 plus this is V2 square by 2g, and plus we are talking about plus some head loss. This is head loss due to friction. Okay. Now this Z1 will be equal to Z2, so Z1 and Z2 will cancel and V1 equal to V2, so kinetic head also neglected. So I can write down from this equation, this P1 by rho g minus this is P2 by this rho g will be equal to head loss due to friction. This is head loss due to friction. This is equation number 1. Okay, this is equation number 1. Now what we have to do, we have to assume now, suppose F dash. So F dash is the frictional resistance. This F dash is the frictional resistance. This is F dash is the frictional resistance per unit area per unit velocity. Okay, so this is the frictional resistance velocity. The frictional resistance is per unit area and per unit velocity. Now what is the total frictional resistance? Now total frictional resistance will be equal to F, this capital F. Okay, so better get F1. So this F1 will be equal to this F dash into this area. This is surface area. The friction is acting in surface area. Now because this is suppose my pipe. Okay, this is now suppose is my pipe. Okay, now water is flowing in this direction. So when there is some of resistance are offering at the this surface. Okay, so now if to talk about this surface area, so I am now to talk about the surface area. So this is total resistance into surface area. Okay, because here F dash is the frictional resistance per unit area per unit velocity. If you want to find the total frictional resistance, then you have to multiply the area and the velocity. And what you have to multiply? And velocity to the power n, because I already told you this frictional resistance is varies v to the power n. In our case, n we have assumed to be 2. So this is v square. Okay. Now this is our this is the total frictional resistance. But already we have derived the Bernoulli equation. Whenever you are applying this Bernoulli equation, we have to follow all the assumptions taken in Bernoulli equation. So Bernoulli equation we have assumed the flow to be a steady flow. So the flow to be, this one is steady flow. So steady flow means what? The acceleration means that local acceleration will be equal to 0. Means this dv by this dt. So dv by dt means this one is what? Local acceleration. This is local acceleration will be equal to 0 for steady flow. Now if you use the Newton's second law, this Newton's second law if you use, you write down up to this. Now if you use Newton's second law, so according to this Newton's second law, so Newton's second law, net force or resultant force will be equal to mass into this acceleration. Okay, so now the acceleration is already for steady flow I told you this local acceleration will be equal to 0. So I can write down that resultant force will be equal to 0. Okay, the resultant force will be equal to 0. Now this is my pipe. Okay, this is my pipe. So in which flow happening? So this is the I chosen one point. This is section 1, and this is section I have 2 chosen. And the pressure at section 1, this one is P1. The pressure at section 2 is this one is P2, and the length is this one is L. And if you see the side view, this is a circular section. This is circular section of having this one is diameter 1 is how much? This one is diameter is D, and the radius is, suppose this one radius is R. Now now if the this flow is occurring, suppose the this area is cross section area is A. Okay, the cross section area is A, and when the flow is occurring in this direction, the resistance will act in opposite direction. So the resistance will suppose acting in this direction, and that resistance is F1. That resistance is F1. Now if you write down the net force, will be equal to 0, and I assume this is my positive x and this is my positive y axis. So net force in this direction, this is at section 1. So this is one section and this is two section. At section 1, the force due to pressure is P1 into A. So this is P1 into this is A, area is constant, minus this is P2 into A. P2 is acting in the opposite direction, minus this is F1 is equal to 0. This is the frictional resistance. Okay, so now we can find out this F1 is equal to, already you find out this is F dash into this surface area. What is surface area? This is pi into D into L into the velocity square, this is V square. Okay, now we can find out from this equation. Okay, so we can find out this equation. So this from this one you can find out from this equation, this is P1 minus this P2. So P1 minus P2 will be equal to F1 by A. F1 by A. Now if you put this value F1 value, if you now put this value F1, so this is P1 minus P2 will be equal to how much? This one F dash into this pi dl into this V square divided by this one is area. Area is this one, this cross section area. This is cross section area. This is how much? This is pi by 4 into D square. Okay. Now this is coming out to P1 minus P2 will be equal to how much? This is F dash into this 4 into this L into this V square divided by this one is D. Okay, so this is the value we are getting. Now if you divide this both side with the rho g, now I am dividing both side with this one is rho g. So now I am getting this P1 minus P2 will be equal to, this one is that I am getting 4 f dash L v square divided by d. Now I am dividing this both side will be rho g. This is P1 minus P2. This is rho g, P1 by rho g minus P2 by rho g will be equal to, this is 4 f dash L v square by rho g into d. Suppose now this is equation, suppose I am taking this is star, equation star, and already we have found out this P1 minus P1 by rho g minus this P2 by rho g. This is already have found out from equation 1, this head loss. Okay, head loss means head loss due to friction. This is equation 1 already have found out. Now if you equate this equation 1 and equation star, so now we are getting this one as, so head loss due to friction will be equal to 4 f dash L v square by, this one is rho g into t. Okay, and now and already you have know this one, this f dash by rho, this is the given, f dash by rho has been assumed. This f dash by rho will be equal to, this is f double dash divided by 2. Okay, what is this f double dash? This is f double dash is called coefficient of friction. This is called coefficient of friction. This is called coefficient of friction. And now if you put this one, we are getting this HF will be equal to, HF will be equal to, we are getting this is 4 f dash f double dash L b square by, this one we are getting this is 2g into d. Okay, now this 4 f double dash, it has been assumed that this is called friction factor. This is called friction factor. This is friction factor, or this is called Darcy friction factor. Darcy friction factor means if you have the coefficient of friction will be given to you, and if the friction factor you can find out by multiplying this 4. Okay, now this we can replace this 4f dash with a friction factor which is taken equal to, this one is taken equal to f. F will be equal to 4 f double dash. So now if you replace this one as, this is f L v square divided by 2g into t. So this is head loss due to friction. So head loss due to friction will be equal to f L v square by, this is 2g d. This is very important formula, because this number of times they are asking this problem as well as competitive exam as well as this university exam. So you have to remember this formula throughout your life. This is a very important formula. So if in the form, if you want to write down discharge, so if this velocity we can write down, this one is q by a. Okay, the velocity we can write down q by a, and this velocity we can write down, so I am writing here. Okay, this velocity this is will be q by a, and we can write down this is q by pi by 4 into this is d square. So if you write down this equation in the form of discharge, this is f L q square divided by 12.1 d to the power 5. So you can write down this Darcy-Weisbach equation in the form also. So this is the final expression of the Darcy-Weisbach equation. Now some important points we have to remember. So what are the points? What are the points to remember? So what are the points to remember? So first point is this head loss due to friction, that is coming out to be f L v square by 2g into t. F is the friction factor, L is the length of the pipe, v is the velocity of the flow, and v is what? Q by cross sectional area of the pipe, and d is the diameter, and g. And and also you can write down this is f L q square by 12.1 d to the power 5. And this Darcy-Weisbach equation is valid for both turbulent and laminar flow. It is valid for both turbulent, and this one is laminar flow. It is valid for both turbulent and laminar flow. Okay, but in laminar flow, if the laminar flow is concerned, actually the head loss is found out by using one equation. So in laminar flow, the head loss is calculated so by using one equation, that is called Hagen-Poiseuille equation. That equation is called an Hagen-Poiseuille. So this is Hagen-Poiseuille's equation. Okay, this Hagen-Poiseuille equation is head loss will be equal to, this is 32 mu VL divided by rho G into D square. So when we talk about this laminar flow, we will talk about this formula in detail. So as far as the laminar flow is concerned, we are using this 32 mu VL by rho G to square. But when the laminar is fully developed flow, when their flow is fully developed flow, in laminar flow, then we will use this formula to calculate the head loss in pipe. But this Darcy-Weisbach and this Chezy formula both applicable to laminar and turbulent flow. Okay, so now I already told you. So if you consider for laminar flow, I am considering for laminar flow. So third point I can write. So I told you for laminar flow, we can use both this. We can find out the head loss. The head loss we can find out by using both this FL V square by 2G into D. This is equation 1, and also the head loss we can find out by using Hagen-Poiseuille equation, that is 32 mu VL divided by this one is rho G D square. So this from both the equation, if you calculate the head loss, that head loss will coming out to be same. Okay, now if you equating this equation 1 and this equation 2. So this is FL V square by this one is 2G into D will be equal to 32 mu VL divided this one is rho G D square. Okay, so now here this L cancel. So now here is this L gone, V gone, and this is G gone, 1D gone. So this F is coming out to be 64 mu divided by rho V into D. Okay, now you can rewrite this equation. F will be equal to 64 by this is rho VD by this one is mu, and this rho VD by mu this is Reynolds number in pipe flow. So this is rho VD by mu is the Reynolds number. So you can write down this F will be equal to this 64 by RE, and this is for laminar flow. We can find out if the friction factor is not given to you, you can still find out this friction factor by finding this Reynolds number. So this is for laminar flow. Okay, and we already know this F double dash will be equal to F by 4, means this coefficient of friction will be equal to 1 by 4th of Darcy-Weisbach equation. So F will be equal to how much? 4 into this F dash. Okay, 4 into this F dash. So now if you we can rewrite this one equation in the form of this one. So I can add out this F will be equal to this is 64 by RE, and F is what? This is I can add on 4 times F double dash. So F double dash is what? This is coefficient of friction. Okay, so now this is 64 by RE. So F double dash also you can find out, this is 16 by RE. So this is coefficient of friction if you write, this is 16 by RE. If the friction factor if you write, this is 64 by RE. Okay, this is all about this laminar flow. The last point we have to remember, is Darcy-Weisbach equation mostly applicable for turbulent flow. Means this Darcy-Weisbach equation, Darcy-Weisbach equation is mostly applicable for this turbulent flow only. Okay, and this I told you the Darcy-Weisbach equation also can be applicable to laminar flow, but for fully developed laminar flow, so now for fully developed laminar flow, we can use this Hagen-Poiseuille equation. This is Hagen-Poiseuille's equation to calculate the head loss, that is 32 mu VL divided by this one is rho g into d square. We can use when the flow is called fully developed, mean velocity is uniform throughout the cross section. Okay, so if you see for this turbulent flow, okay, for fully developed laminar flow, in laminar flow some objective question it will get, for fully developed laminar flow the head loss is directly proportional to V. But if you see, you can, I told you this Darcy-Weisbach equation also, you can write down this equation. So head loss will be equal to, this is FL V square by this one is 2 into G into D. So this head loss is also directly proportional to V square. But if it is in question, it is mentioned that for fully developed laminar flow, if sentence is written, then this head loss is directly proportional to V, it is correct. If it is not mentioned fully developed laminar flow, then we cannot say means which we can, this also can be possible. But as long as it is mentioned the flow is fully developed laminar flow, if you this option you book, this is wrong option, this is incorrect. The correct one is S is directly proportional to V. So this is today I'll discuss the flow through pipes. Now we will solve some GATE questions. Now you will solve some GATE question problem. So the GATE question will be, okay. So now in this question it is saying, so this is saying you have to match the column. Okay, very quickly we will solve. So as I promised that every chapter I will complete, so today I have to complete this one. So if you draw this one, if you draw the shear stress versus the velocity gradient, so this is du by dy, or I can say this one is d theta by dt. So if you draw this one is called as Newtonian fluid. This one is n will be equal to 1. So this one is called as Newtonian fluid. So Newtonian fluid n will be equal to 1. Okay. Now this one, so this one is called n is less than 1. So this one is n is, since this n is greater than 1, this one is called as dilatant fluid. This one is called as dilatant fluid. And if you draw this one, this flow is called as, where n is less than 1, this one is called as pseudoplastic. This one is called pseudoplastic fluid. Okay. And now this one is called as, this one is called as, so this one is called as Bingham plastic. This one is called as Bingham plastic. Okay, this one is Bingham plastic. And if you draw this one, so this curve, so let me choose this color. So this one is called as, okay, this one is called as thixotropic. This one is called as thixotropic, and this one is called as rheopectic. This one is called as rheopectic fluid. So now you have to see. So this is, you have to see P, Q, R, and S. So Newtonian fluid is what? This curve number is 2. So in both the option it is 2 is there. Okay. So now we have to see the next. So next is the pseudoplastic. Pseudoplastic means which one? This one is pseudoplastic. Pseudoplastic means this 4. So directly you can say this 2 4. 2 4 2 4. This is cancelled, and this is also cancelled. Now option A and C are there. So now see, Q4 is there. We have to see now S. S is dilatant. Dilatant means which one? This one dilatant fluid. Dilatant fluid means this 3. So S is 3. S is mean 2 4. This one we can 2 4 3. Yes, the option C is correct. So 2 4 5 3. Okay. So this plastic fluid is generally the score 5. Thixotropic also it is called the plastic fluid. Okay. So this is plastic fluid. Now we have to go to the next question. Now it is saying the dimension for kinematic viscosity. So this kinematic viscosity is defined, this is mu by rho. Okay. So this mu we can write down, this is kg by this one is meter into second, divided by, you can write down this is kg per meter cube. So if you solve, this is coming out to meter square per second. So this is length square by time. So this is the correct option. Okay, for kinematic viscosity. Now cavitation is caused by, okay. Now if you saw, this is vapor pressure. If you talk about the vapor pressure and cavitation, vapor pressure and cavitation. So this vapor pressure is the properties of the fluid, where this cavitation is the effect of the vapor pressure. The cavitation is not the properties of the fluid, it is the effect of vapor pressure. So when the pressure at any point is less than the vapor pressure, less than equal to the vapor pressure, then we can say the cavitation, then cavitation occurs. Then cavitation occurs. Okay. Suppose this is the in a tank. So this is the reservoir, and suppose this is the head level, and it is connected, in this connected through a pipe. So this is connected through a pipe. Okay. Now pressure at this point, this is 1 point. Suppose this point is, suppose I am drawing here. So this is my one reservoir. Okay, this is my one reservoir, and it is connected by this pipe. Okay, this is connected by this pipe. Suppose now pressure, this is 0.2 and this is 0.3, and this point suppose is 1. So it is inside this water. This point is 1. So here atmospheric pressure is acting. Okay. So suppose this 0.2 is at a distance of h from the free surface. So what is the pressure at 0.2? This will be minus rho g h, and this is, if you write down in the form gauge value, this is rho g h, and this is vacuum. This is vacuum. Mean this pressure at 0.2 is less than atmospheric pressure. Okay, less than atmospheric pressure. That's why the fluid is rising and flowing, because if the atmospheric pressure is greater, then only the fluid will rise. Okay. Now and the here pressure at 0.3 also atmospheric, pressure at 0.3 also atmospheric. Now suppose the pressure at 0.2 is less than vapor pressure, is less than the vapor pressure of the fluid. Vapor pressure means the pressure at which the liquid start boiling. That pressure is called as vapor pressure. Means suppose you take a container, okay, take a container, and suppose there is some liquid you kept, and you increase the temperature of this one. Okay, you increase the temperature of this one. So what will happen? This liquid start boiling, and that vapor will accumulate in this this pores or this void, in this empty space. The vapor will be accumulate, and this vapor will exert a pressure onto the free surface. That pressure is called as vapor pressure. Okay, that pressure is called as vapor pressure. So when the pressure at 0.2 is less than vapor pressure, then what will happen? the liquid start boiling, then I can say this liquid starts boiling. Liquid start boiling means they will form bubbles, and during this movement of the bubbles from this point number 2, what will happen, they will burst. Okay, they will burst, and continuous happening, continuous this occurrence of this liquid formation and bursting phenomena, and this is generated by fatigue time failure. So what will happen, it will this lose this pipe material, it lose this pipe material. So this entire phenomena or entire process is called cavitation. So always we have to avoid the cavitation. So what is, we always have to avoid this cavitation process. So always to maintain the pressure at point 2, so greater than vapor pressure, so that what will happen, cavitation will not be formed here, and there will be no means removal of the any pipe material. Okay, so there will not be sudden bursting kind of sudden failure will not happen. Okay, so it is asking, this cavitation is caused when the pressure is low pressure. Okay, pressure is less than vapor pressure, then it is called low pressure. Okay, so we will go to the next. So it is saying, with increase in temperature, the viscosity of the fluid. So fluid means what? Fluid means there is liquid and it is called gas, liquid and gas. And for liquid, I can write down, for liquid, okay, when the temperature will increase, what will happen, the cohesive force in between the intermolecule will decreases. Cohesive force means the attractive force in between the molecule, that will be decreases, will leads to what will happen, the viscosity will also decrease, because if the cohesive force will be more will be attraction, and the fluid will be the liquid will be more viscous. Okay, but if you increase the temperature, the attraction force in between the molecule decreases. As a result, what will happen, the viscosity of the fluid also is, viscosity of liquid is also is decreasing. But if you talk about the gas, so what will happen, if the temperature is increasing, what will happen, the intermolecular momentum exchange in between the molecule increases. So what will happen, the momentum exchange in between the molecule increases. As a result of what will happen, the frictional force in between the molecule will be increasing, they will collide with each other very rapidly. So the frictional resistance increases means the viscosity also increases in a gas. So if you want to understand in a graph format, so this is suppose temperature and this is viscosity. So viscosity is for liquid will be decreases, but for gas will it is increase. This is for liquid and this is for gas. Okay, so it is this increases if the fluid is gas, it decreases if the fluid is liquid, if it is increases. Okay, if it is increases. So we will go to next question. The unit of dynamic viscosity of a fluid. So dynamic viscosity, I can write down this one. The unit is, this is Pascal second. We can say this is Pascal second. So this is Pascal second, and Pascal is written this one as Newton per meter square. Okay, or if you want to write down this, Newton will be equal to kg meter per second square. If you put, this is coming out to be kg by meter into second. This is, so this is the correct option will be this one, Newton Pascal second. This can also be written, this is Pascal into second. Okay, dynamic viscosity. Next is, a fluid is one which can define a substance. Fluid means what? Suppose this is the bed part. Okay, this is the free surface, and I am fixed any location. Suppose this is my fixed location, and this is the particle number 1. Okay, and if you apply small magnitude of shear stress, what will happen? This will change its position. This will change its position to second one, and this fluid is not will stop at this point. It will continuously, it will changing its position to different location. Continuously, it will change its position to different location. So this theta, this shear strength, this keep on changing with respect to time. So I can write this shear stress is directly proportional to d theta by dt. Okay, so fluid is a substance which can be deformed continuously or indefinitely under the influence of very small magnitude of the shear stress. Okay, that is the definition of the fluid. So it can be deformed indefinitely under the action of the smallest shear force. This is one the correct option. Fluid is a substance. Okay. So for a fluid in a motion, pressure at a point is same in all direction. Then pressure at a point is same in direction. Then the fluid is caught. Okay. So if a fluid element if you take and if you pressure acting in each direction, so the pressure acting in each direction. So this is Px, this is Pz, and suppose this is my Py. So on this fluid element, if you write the Px will be Py will be equal to Pz. So this is now this is Pascal's law. So this is Pascal's law, and this Pascal's law will be valid when the shear stress in between the layer of the fluid is zero. The shear stress will be layer will be zero, means the fluid will be absolutely in rest condition. The fluid will be absolutely in rest condition. Okay, then we can say this Pascal law will be valid. So when the shear stress will be zero, the shear stress we know this mu into this is V by Y. Okay, mu into V by Y. So for ideal fluid, what will happen? Now the viscosity of the fluid will be zero. So viscosity of the fluid zero means the shear stress also will be equal to zero. So it is only valid for the ideal fluid. Okay, the correct option for ideal fluid. Now shear stress develops on a fluid element if the fluid. Okay, so what will happen? The shear stress, first of all, when there is a resistance to flow, then we can say the shear stress will exist. When resistance to flow will occur, when there is viscosity exist. When there is a viscosity in the fluid will be exist. When this is a VCD, when there is viscosity means what? When there will be there is viscous flow. When there is some laminar flow. Okay, so there is the fluid must be at viscous flow. Okay, then only you can say viscosity exists, and viscosity exists means this shear stress will exist. And when there is a velocity, we can know this tau will be equal to mu into this du by dy. So this tau will exist when there is a velocity gradient also will exist. Velocity gradient will exist means the velocity is a function of u. The velocity is a function of y. So this velocity is a function of y. So velocity will keep changing with respect to this depth of the flow. Okay, means what? There is a non-uniform flow. Okay, if there is a non-uniform flow, then there will be velocity gradient will be exist, and when there is a viscous flow, then viscosity will be exist. Then only this shear stress will be exist. So the correct option, shear stress develops when there is a viscous and the flow is a non-uniform flow. This is the correct option. Okay, then the non-uniform flow. So continuum approach in a fluid mechanics is valid. Okay, this continuum. So there is one assumption has been taken. So that assumption has been taken. In this fluid mechanics. Let me check. Yes. So this assumption has been taken. So when you are talking about the macroscopic approach, we are talking about this macroscopic approach. When talking about the macroscopic approach, okay, when you have to take two things. First, there is mass will be continuous distribution, means continuous mass distribution. There is no discontinuity in mass distribution, means there is no voids in the fluid. It is indirectly saying there is no voids will be present in a fluid. Okay, and this condition will be satisfied by one non-dimensional number, that is called Knudsen number. Okay, that Knudsen number is represented by Kn. Okay, and this Knudsen number is defined by, that is mean path. This is mean path by this one is characteristic length. This is called characteristic length. Okay, and this mean path represented by lambda, and this is character length is L. Okay, so this is actually the fluid will be continuous mass distribution, or this continuum in nature, which is defined by this Knudsen number. And Knudsen number divided this mean path of the molecule is much smaller as compared to the characteristic dimension. Okay, so this continuous approach fluid mechanics is valid when the mean path means what? Mean path means, suppose this is the one fluid element, one another fluid element. So suppose this fluid means they are continuously flowing, and when there is it is striking this to one, and it will not kept in this position, it will change to some other location. Suppose this is now other location, and the path which travel by this particle from this location to this final location, that path is called as mean free path. That path is called mean free path. Okay, so the correct option will be this one. Continuum approach in fluid mechanics is valid when the mean free path of the molecule is much smaller as compared to the characteristic dimension. Character dimension means means what? I can say this one. So this Knudsen number is less than equal to 0.01. Okay, 0.01 means what? This lambda is very less than this L. When this condition will be satisfied, then this continuous distribution of mass will be valid. Okay, that is my objective. Now surface tension is due to. So surface tension, suppose this is the surface of my fluid. Okay, suppose I am choosing any fluid, this fluid particle. So what will happen? There is infinite number of fluid particles are there. Okay, they are infinite. So there is some cohesive force are existing in between this one. So cohesive force means what? They are attracting with each other. There is attractive force are existing with each other. So what is the net force? The net force acting on this fluid particle is now the net force fluid particle will be equal to 0 if you choose this one. Suppose this one is 1. Now if you choose a point here, this fluid particle here at this point, what will happen? There is some force of attraction are existing at this but there is here is no fluid elements are not, fluid particles are not present. So if you find out resultant of all this individual attractive force, it will come downward. Okay, so it is a pulling kind of phenomena is means occurring. Okay, the stretching. So this surface the surface is now in a stretched zone. The surface of the water is now a stretched profile. Okay, mean the surface is now there is a tensile force is existing. Okay, means suppose for example this is one body, and this is the weight of the body is existing. Suppose now it is connected one, this one is a string. Okay, so what is the tensile force is existing here. So similar case means this resultant force is acting downward, but it is try to be maintained in this original position. So what will happen? There will be tensile force will be exist. Tensile force will exist in the free surface. Okay, and this force is existing because of the cohesive force in between the same molecules. Okay, so this surface tension is due to cohesion only. But this capillary, if you consider, the capillary action is due to both cohesion and adhesion. Okay, adhesion means the adhesive force between the force of attraction in between the fluid molecules, liquid molecule, and this glass surface. Okay, glass particles, that is called adhesive force, and the cohesive force in between the same molecules. Okay, that is. And if you talk about surface tension, that is due to cohesion only. Now shear stress in Newtonian fluid is proportional to. So shear stress is proportional to, this is first d theta by dt, and it is called rate of shear strain. This is called rate of shear strain. Shear strain. And this is also this d theta by dt. D theta by dt will be equal to, this is du by dy. This tau is also directly proportional to the velocity gradient. This is called velocity. This is velocity gradient. Okay, so here it is a rate of strain, rate of shear strain. This is shear strain rate is the correct option. Okay, now we will go to next last question today. So liquid is of raw density, or this is actually saying, so a liquid, this is the free surface. Okay, this is free surface and it is acting at angle, it is present at theta, and suppose that liquid is there of how much, this one is h, thickness is h, which is flowing. Okay, if you draw the free body diagram, the weight is acting of this one is downward. Okay, now if you take a normal surface, so this angle also will be equal to theta, so this is called w cos theta, and the component of the weight is acting downward direction, this is called w sin theta, and the normal force is also acting in this direction, this is called normal force. And as this fluid is flowing, so this boundary, this surface is existing, it is giving a resistance force, this is called one resistance force, it is called frictional force. Okay, now if you write down this equation, suppose now this is my positive x and this is my positive y axis. Okay, now if you write down the equation, so the equation I can write down, this is, so f of r will be equal to, this is w sin theta. Okay, now this f of r will be again, this is shear stress into the area, the surface area of that one will be equal to, this is w sin theta. So now it is asking what is the shear stress. Okay, so now it is asking what is the shear stress on the bottom surface. So this shear stress will be equal to, this is w sin theta divided by this area. Okay, and w I can write down, this is mg into sin theta divided by area, and this mg I can write down density into volume into g into sin theta divided by this one is area, and this volume I can write down, this rho into area, the surface area means this is the surface area, this is surface area, into this is h. Okay, into this is sin theta divided by a. Okay, so g is there, g is there, so area gone, so the final shear stress will be equal to rho, and so this is, suppose thickness is given t, so better is t, so this is h will be equal to, h I have taken equal to t. Okay, so this rho is equal to g into this is t and this is sin theta, so this is the shear stress which is developed, so this is the correct option. So thank you all for today. Okay, if you have understood my concept, and if you have, please like my video and please share. So thank you all, stay home, thank you all.